remember I remember I used to feel so lonely in rooms full of people, so out of place around people that I've spent my entire life with. Um, at a point, searching for love outside of myself. Welcome to Brown Girls Need Healing Too, the podcast where we dive deep into the journey of healing, transformation, and radical self love. I'm Kiana, and I'm here to help you break free from trauma, reconnect with your inner peace, and step boldly into the life you deserve. This is your space to feel seen, heard, and supported as we explore the tools, stories, and practices that will help you reclaim your power and rewrite your story. Because healing isn't just for some of us, it's for all of us. And brown girls need healing too. Did you miss me? Because I missed you. I really did. And I have not been posting episodes because I've really been doing a lot of things. But most importantly, all of those things that I have been doing have been loving myself and spending time with myself. And to be quite honest with you, it feels so good. Like, there is no relationship in my life that makes me feel the way that I feel about my relationship with myself. And for a lot of people, where I once was in life, for a lot of people, it's different. A lot of people extend their energy so much. They put all of their energy in other people, hoping to get what they give out back, hoping for that love, affection, and care to be reciprocated. And 99.9% of the time, it never happens for a number of reasons. There are many, 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 many reasons why people can't show up for you the way that you show up for them. But at the end of the day, that's not their responsibility. The most important thing is the relationship that you have with yourself. I remember, I remember I used to feel so lonely in rooms full of people, so out of place around people that I've spent my entire life with. Um, at a point, searching for love outside of myself. And I'm not really sure where exactly it happened, but sometime last year, I had decided that I was going to go on a journey to not only heal myself, but to love myself. And I feel like, that's really what healing is. It's like the ultimate act of self-love. So I had a client, and she was telling me about how she is a people pleaser. She continuously shows up for others in her life. And she would go to the ends of the earth for the people that she loves and that she cares about. But she felt like she didn't get that same love, respect, consideration in return. And so, of course, I'm listening to her speak. I've been there before. And so sometimes when you're in situations, it's very hard for you to see the pattern that you have developed or that you've created. But I talk about this all the time, the core wound, the wound that we walk around with, the story that we tell ourselves about who we are, the lie that we tell ourselves. So, like, I'm not enough, or I don't matter, or nobody loves me, right? For a lot of people, that story is I'm not enough. And so for her story was I'm not enough. And you know what we do when we tell ourselves over and over again that we're not enough? You know what we do? We look for any person, place, or thing to tell us the opposite. We do not have that within ourselves, so we seek it from relationships that we shouldn't be in, from jobs that we're chasing because we think that the job is going to give us the feeling of feeling enough. The material things, the cars, the homes, the bags, the money, the everything. And not saying that those things are bad things or, you shouldn't want those things in life. You absolutely should because we're here to live a good life. But not when you want those things to fill a void and to make you feel like you're enough. And a lot of people, including myself at one point in my life, lived that way. So if I asked you right now, what does it mean to have a relationship with yourself? I really want you to sit and think about what that answer is. What does it mean to you to have a relationship with yourself? Do you have a relationship with yourself? And for a lot of people, that answer is going to be no. That answer is going to be no. Think about all of the relationships that you have in your life, all of the people you're texting, all of the people you're showing up for, all of the people you're going to the ends of the earth for, all of those people, and you don't have a relationship with yourself. And so, what a lot of people don't realize is that part of having a relationship with yourself is being conscious of how you talk to yourself. That inner voice is part of the relationship that you have with yourself, and it's so integral. That voice, those thoughts are so integral to not only how you show up for yourself, but how you show up for others and how you show up in the world. And a huge misconception when it comes to like self love, people will say, oh, I'm getting my nails done, or I'm getting a pedicure, whatever, I'm treating myself to an expensive dinner, and that's self love. It can be a byproduct of self love, but that's not self love. Self love is 100% how you decide to show up for yourself emotionally. And for a lot of people, the combat that they face is between loving themselves and people pleasing. Now, as a refined master manipulator, because I used to be so manipulative, um, but people who are manipulative can spot people pleasers from a mile away. It is so easy. It is so easy to spot people that do not want to do something and they do it because they want to make the other person happy. And so when we talk about self love, people who people please are people pleasing in order to fill some type of void, such as I'm not good enough, but in hopes of you feeling good enough because that's what I'm giving you, I think that you're going to mirror that back to me and make me feel good enough. But here's the thing when it comes to self love, you have to have self honesty, self compassion, and most importantly, self trust. You have to trust without a shadow of a doubt that every decision you make is for the highest good of yourself. And when you serve yourself, I'm pretty sure this sounds familiar. When you serve yourself, you serve others. I don't know who said the quote, but I read it somewhere and it stuck with me because it's such a beautiful statement. But the greatest self development or the greatest act of service that anyone can do is self development. Now, I do think there are some exceptions to what I'm about to say, but for a majority of the time, your connection to your self worth will be a direct correlation of the relationships that you're attracting. So if you, on the inside, not just saying it with words, if you don't feel like you're good enough, If you don't feel like there, are no good men out there and, nobody's going to want you because you got 10 kids or because you've been divorced or because you gained weight or because you have mental health issues or whatever, whatever the story it is that you tell yourself, um, if you truly feel that on the inside, you are always going to attract people that mirror that back to you. And that's why the journey back to yourself and back to loving yourself is so important, because when you fix the relationship that you have with yourself, the relationships around you, they either fix themselves as well or they get out of the way in order to make room for what is really meant to be in your life. And, when it comes to self love, I think a lot of people have this idea of being complete when they find love or they find another person or, when they get married or when they have kids or whatever the answer is. But people believe that they will be complete with another person. And that's a lie. That's a lie, because we are complete all on our own without anyone, without anything, and without going anywhere except within, maybe. So, if you're listening to this episode, the one thing, I'm going to give you a couple of things, but the one thing that I feel is so important to this journey of finding your way back to yourself is learning how to say no, learning how to set boundaries, and learning how to disappoint other people. Because for a lot of us people pleasers, we it has been ingrained in us that we needed to put other people's needs, wants, desires, etc. before our own, because that's the selfish thing to do. And when you're raised in an environment where you have to change who you are or disregard the things that you want in order to make other people more comfortable, you continue to live the rest of your life that way. So I'm saying all of that to say, from this moment on, if you're listening, from this moment on, please make a commitment to yourself that you are going to love yourself enough to say no to the things that you really don't want to do, and to set boundaries for people, because boundaries are not a tool for controlling others. It's a tool for you, your mental health, and for the relationships that you wish to keep into your life. There's nothing wrong with boundaries. Okay, so actionable tool for saying no, or just, really knowing that what you want to say is no, because this is something that I struggled with for a long time. And I know that a lot of people struggle with. But let's say your friend calls you and they're like, hey, I want to go to Arizona next weekend to get away, and I want you to come with me. As amazing as that sounds, as much as you love that person, you start thinking about, oh my God, they were there for me when I was going through my breakup. I should show up for them because I know they're going through things. They probably don't have anyone else. My schedule's kind of busy, but I think I can move things around. Although I really don't feel like sitting in the car for 4 hours. Before all of those thoughts come in, whether it's leaning towards going or not going, you immediately have a thought in your mind, right? And it's either a yes or a no. So I challenge you to lean into whatever that answer is. And if that answer is no, do not talk yourself into doing something that you don't want to do. Aside from that, the journey back to self love and the journey to yourself has to do a lot with reparenting yourself and speaking to yourself with kindness. So please don't ever, ever, ever talk to yourself in a way that you wouldn't talk to someone else that you love dearly. That's probably the greatest test. If you're not going to say what you're saying to someone else, then don't say it to yourself. Treat others like you want to be treated, or treat yourself like you treat others, right? Learn to enjoy your own company. And that's a big one because people have a hard time being alone. And because of that, they're willing to allow any and every energy into their space just so that they don't have to deal with being alone. Don't forget, the longest permanent relationship you'll ever have is the one that you have with yourself. This relationship with yourself is the most important relationship, not the relationship with your husband or your wife, not the relationship with your kids, not the relationship with your parents, the relationship with yourself. So every single day, take one step towards deepening that connection with yourself, whether it's talking positively to yourself, whether it's setting boundaries with people, or whether it's journaling. As Buddha said, you yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection. So, what that means is nobody deserves your love and your affection more than you do. Don't forget that. If you found this episode helpful, which I know you did, do me a favor, share it on your Instagram, on your Facebook, on your TikTok, because the greatest gift that you can give someone is really and truly the gift of healing. And with this episode, we are guiding people back home where they belong. And there is no greater feeling than that. If you're listening on YouTube, please leave me a comment. Thank you to everyone who does. I read every single one of them. If you're listening on Amazon or Spotify, please rate my show. It is going to help me get this amazing message out to people who are stuck in need of healing and that inner guidance back to themselves in order to live the best life that they can possibly live. I love you so much and thank you for listening to this podcast. I'll see you in the next episode.